Welcome back to Moose on the Loose. Today we've got a video here in the House of Commons that's happening right now. There's going to be the non-confidence vote in a couple of hours, which will decide whether we go to a carbon tax election. But I noticed in the House of Commons session, which is pretty light, there's a lot of members there, but Pierre Poilievre, Justin Trudeau, Chrystia Freeland, they're all not there for this one. One person who is Jonathan Wilkinson, who's shaking like a washing machine. He looks super nervous. This man is you'll see here there's an exchange between a Melissa Lantsman and him, and the first time he speaks he's fine, but the second time it's just like his nerves are getting to him. I'm pretty sure he is stressed out about what's going on with the vote today. There's talks about Liberals possibly doing a flip-flop and not voting for it. So yeah, check this out.
For 8 years of this Liberal NDP government, Canadians know that this Prime Minister and his carbon tax are not worth the cost. The average Ontario family pays $1,674 every year in Liberal carbon taxes. They get back $1,047. I know that it's very difficult for them to understand, but $1,674 is bigger than $1,047. And the tax goes up by 23% on April 1st. So if he won't spike the hike or axe the tax, then why won't he let the people decide and call a carbon tax election?
Call it. We want the election.
Resources and energy.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The Conservatives need to stop spreading falsehoods. The PBO has been very clear that 8 out of 10 Canadian families get more money back.
This guy.
It's true now. It will be true in 2030.
It's never
the
true.
only thing that these folks are going to do by taking away the rebate is to make those on modest incomes poorer. Shame on you for that. While his climate plan is essentially to let the planet burn, the Conservatives essentially have a policy that is both reckless on the environment and reckless on affordability.
I'd like to remind all members, of course, to direct their...
It's just disgraceful, Wilkinson.
Thornhill.
Just because the minister repeats something over and over again, it doesn't make it true. That liberal math might make sense in fantasy land, but the math that Canadians are doing is painfully real as they try to put food on their table. And those Liberals have the audacity to believe that Canadians want to pay more in taxes, not less. The Conservatives are giving this government the chance to test that audacity and call a carbon tax election. If the Liberal government believes that everyone loves the carbon tax, then why won't they agree to go to the polls? What are they scared of?
Yeah, they know it's a 99% chance of losing is what's going on.
For natural resources.
Once again, Mr. Speaker, I would say the Conservatives need to stop spouting falsehoods.
Look at his hand.
The average net benefit to Canadians in Ontario is $255 a year. In Manitoba, $365 a year. In Alberta, $723 a year. In Saskatchewan, $349 a year. What these folks are going to do is make poor people poorer, and they are going to essentially sacrifice the future of our children going forward. Shame on you.
Jeez. Okay, let's look at that again with the audio off. So first we're looking at his left hand here, and you can just see he's shaking. He is shaking. That paper's jiggling. And then he moves it over to his right hand. So shaking. And it just kind of gets perpetual. You can see his pinky finger there is just twitching. These two. Ring finger and pinky finger. And then he moves it to this hand. And look at this. It just starts jittering and jittering and jittering and jittering. The guy is nervous. And look at the hand over here. So we look at his hand here. It's actually shaking too as he's doing this whole pointing shame thing. But I mean, this is like crazy what's going on there. It's what you're seeing there is a man who's absolutely stressed out. He's going to lose his job. He's going to lose his big cushy paycheck. He's going to be kicked out of parliament there. The party's going to get dissolved. He can see all the writing on the wall. He just doesn't know if it's happening today or if it's happening in a year and a half. That's what it looks like to me. He looks like a stressed out guy. Can't hide it with his body language. Look at this cheeky grin from Bolsonaro. Ugh, just gross, man.
Near Lakeland, the Cold Lake Food Bank said last year was their busiest ever. Quote, we gave out over 6,000 hampers throughout the year. So far this year hasn't slowed down. 6,000, by the way, is 40% of the town's population.
That's
and
crazy.
1 million more Canadians will be forced to go to food banks this year over last.
Here, I will share
Look
with
who
you
it is.
what is cruel. What's cruel is that the Conservatives would cut the carbon rebate, which, Mr. Speaker, is a price on pollution. 8 out of 10 Albertans receive.
So you notice here, Jonathan Wilkinson didn't get back up. He probably nudged Randy. He's like, hey, you got to take this one. I'm shaking like a washing machine. And you look at Randy Balson out here. He is cool as a cucumber. This guy is no problem, living in the filth he's created with a liberal government. His conscience is not burdened at all. But it seems, maybe he's he's ready to retire and Wilkinson isn't. I don't know what's going on here, but just look how calm he is.
More money from the Canada carbon rebate than they pay at the end of the year. $700 more in the pockets of Albertans.
Except the Liberals' schemes and spin jobs can't cover up the cruel fact that the cost of everything is up, and so are emissions, because the carbon tax is a cash grab and not an environmental plan. So this Prime Minister finally listened to the majority of Canadians and premiers, spike the hike today, or call carbon tax elections so Canadians can decide and act it themselves.
These guys want to let the planet burn. We're going to defend the planet, put more money in the pockets of Albertans. They can do what they want to do. We're going to defend Canadians and make sure there's a planet for our kids and our grandkids.
Okay, enough of the drama class there. Trudeau's taught you well, I guess. You know what? Let's look at what he just said there. The planet burning, the wildfires he just mentioned in Alberta. Let's just keep this legit local to what he just said. Sorry to do this to you, Randy, but we're here at theweathernetwork.com, not a conservative website, obviously. And if we scroll down, look at this, 2023 wildfires by suspected cause. This is exactly what he's just said. He said wildfires in Alberta last year. This is exactly what we're talking about here. And here we go, Randy. This is what you brought this up, man. I don't know why you'd bring this up, but you did. Look, human caused, 62%. There was like one guy who caused a lot of the fires. There's multiple people that started the fires. In Alberta, there's always going to be lightning strikes, and that's 34%. And, we can plan for that as best as we can, but what we can do is get rid of the people causing forest fires. That's what we can do, but they've done nothing. They're soft on crime. Why do we have such soft crime in Canada? Soft punishments on criminals. Why not put 15 years in jail if you start a wildfire and you're caught? Who wants to go to jail for 15 years for starting a wildfire? I got no problem with that. I got no problem with tough punishments for criminals. It makes us suffer. We have to spend so much of our money putting these out. One person can cause so much economic destruction. They should be put in jail. Make it worse, 25 years. I don't care. We should be doing the same thing for the car thefts in Toronto. Why not have 10 years in jail for stealing a car? Not house arrest where they can play Grand Theft Auto with an ankle monitor. Why not 10 years in jail for stealing your first car? Any car. It doesn't matter. This would solve the problem. We don't have people with Faraday cages and all sorts of pouches and stuff trying to protect the frequency of their key fobs. And then what do? They start breaking and entering and holding up people gunpoint in their houses to steal their key fob, to steal their car. 10 years in jail, 15 years in jail. Let's just make it so you can't do this, like what they do in Singapore. If you spit gum on the ground or whatever, you get it's ridiculous, but it works. I don't know. I'm not going to quote the law, like a couple years in jail or something, a huge fine. Maybe the laws have changed since, but they're laws that are really strict. But guess what? It's really clean, and there's no crime there. It's a nice place. You just have to obey the laws. What's wrong with that? On Vancouver Island where I live, so in Canada here, Vancouver Island down here, most of the population lives down here. But way up here, there's a few small towns and stuff, but there's a hiking trail out here. It's San Joseph Bay. If we turn this on, you can see here. Here's the parking lot. You know what people do? They know that people come here to hike. What people do is you park there and then either hike over to this bay or people hike all the way up to the lighthouse. And so the people going up here, they spend 4 days out there, which means their vehicle's sitting here for 4 days. And the criminals know this. So they drive over from Port Hardy or Port Rupert, Port McNeil, over in the middle of the night. And they come to this parking lot. They know no one's there at midnight because everyone is sleeping in their tent. They smash all the windows, they steal all their stuff, and they cut off their catalytic converters, and then they take off. Now, if the government, instead of spending $835,000 on hiring some mercenaries from New Zealand or Australia or whatever to fly around this island with machine guns, shooting deer, absolutely obliterating the meat, which can't be consumed anymore, You know, if they didn't waste all that money, by the way, all the hunters on the island would have done that for free. If they spent that $835,000 to put up cameras at places like this parking lot, they could have put one in every corner, and then they can put these people away. If you come in and you smash vehicles and cut out catalytic converters, you get 15 years in jail. We would not have this problem anymore. We can solve these problems. We have the money. We just have absolute idiots running our country. Our country is run by the biggest bonehead losers, just the worst of the worst. They want to make crime worse in Canada. They want to make housing more expensive, and they want to make Canadians suffer. Every action they have done is to embrace those three facts. It's just fact. If they did literally everything backwards of what they're doing, things would be so much better in Canada. And that's what it used to be when the Liberals were not in power. That doesn't mean all the other previous governments or the previous Conservative government was absolutely perfect, but it was 10 times better. Why are mercenaries in a helicopter from New Zealand getting paid outrageous amounts of money when this could have been done for free? We could have had $835,000, could have put solar cameras across this entire province at every trailhead. We would never have another break and enter because people would be going to jail for 15 years because there's secret cameras put up 25 feet up on a tree looking down at the parking lot. Anyways, the government's run by idiots. And as you can see here, Wilkinson, super stressed out. I think he's just scared about losing his big paycheck. He probably wasn't ready to retire. And his body language is showing. So thanks for stopping by here and watching my second channel here. Be sure to subscribe, turn on notifications. We'll see what happens with the vote here in a couple of hours. Stay warm, stay fed. I'll see you guys in the next one.